Hi guys, it's Nancy and I have some of the new release for Gina K designs for January 2024. Wow, I cannot believe we are in January already. I have a short release here just because I am out of town for the next 2 weeks, so I wanted to make sure that I could fit all the new releases in. So many great designs again from all of the companies, but I'm mainly focusing on what I know best, which is the foiling stuff. So we have some new poly-glaze foiling sheets here. This is the hugs and kisses, the little X's and O's. We have some little tiny hearts, which are super cute, so we will be playing with those. I have this little border hearts. Cannot wait to cut this out and see how cute it's going to be. We have a new stencil. So you have like a little layering florals here and then this little background of hearts there, and then have some little dies. And then we have these stamps, which I know you guys know. I don't do a whole bunch of Valentine's cards, but I like to do, kind of galentines. So this is called Best Friends. And I know a lot of you guys are members of kind of like coffee clubs and coffee cards and things like that. So life is better with coffee and a friend like you. Girlfriends are like fine wine. They're great now and get better with time. Best friends are the sisters we choose for ourselves. And I love this saying because sometimes I don't really get along with my two sisters, but I have some best friends that are really, really close to me. Unfortunately, better than my sisters. And then best friends are never apart, maybe in miles, but never in heart. So I really, really love these stamps, these sentiments. And then we have some foil mates. And I know a lot of you guys have had questions about what are the difference between foil mates and poly-glaze. So I'm going to show you guys some of the differences and what the differences are in foiling these two. So that's really what I want to focus on today is, of course, foiling Empress has to do the foiling. And what is the difference between foiling mates and foiling poly-glaze? All right. So first thing I want to do is I want to die cut a couple of sentiments here. I think we'll make 2 cards, and we're really going to focus on maybe using the poly-glaze as my 2 backgrounds, 2 very fast and simple cards. If you want to go ahead and do some shopping, there's a lot of great things in this release. And if you guys know Gina K, they sell out that fast. So if you want to go do some shopping, I'll have the links down below for you guys. And then you can save this video and come back to it later. But I'm going to do some die cutting real quick because I want to die cut my sentiments. Now, I normally say foil first, die cut second. And that's because when you do foiling and you do die cutting, when you die cut, that die cutting is going to impress your paper. But because we're die cutting an area that is not going to be foiled, you can die cut first, okay? Or cut this with your trimmer or whatever you want to do. We get 3 large 8.5 by 11 sheets. They are all exactly the same. And you can use your laminator, your Mink, or your fuse machine. I know you guys are anxiously waiting for the fuse machine to come back in stock. I'm also going to be using the Intri-cut machine. The Intri-cut machine is also coming back in stock, so just be patient. In the meantime, you can use a Mink or a laminator. Just let your laminator heat up for at least 30 minutes. If you're going to be using a Mink machine, I'm going to give you the settings on the Mink machine. The settings on a mini Mink machine are exactly the same as the fuse machine. The settings on a larger 12-inch Mink machine, you're going to want to go one setting higher. Okay? All right, so we're going to take one of each of these backgrounds. I'm telling you guys, this is going to be super fast, super easy. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel. I will do more videos using some of the other products here. So today, focusing on just the foiling part. One of each. And keep these stored inside their storage pockets there. We're going to put the stamps and the stencils aside. May or may not use this border. We'll see. Maybe. Okay. And I have some of my Gina K dies. Wasn't sure which ones I was going to use. I kind of liked this princess circle one. kind of reminded me of doilies and when we made Valentines when we were kids. Ooh, but it kind of infringes on those two. How about this one? Same kind of thing cuts into that one. Oh, it's just a little too big. Okay, we'll save that one for another day. Then I have these are part of the last release, which are the shaker tags, but we have these beautiful squares in here, which are perfect for these square ones. So, you know, don't just look at dies for what they're intended, look at the shapes of the dies. So we have some squares and rectangles. I didn't necessarily want the tags, but look at the square. It looked like that's the perfect size, but I want a little bit of a border. Of course, you could use the tags too. I have the tag dies too, but I think I'll go with that one. And then in the Master Layouts 1, we have some of the ovals. We'll just use this one for now. So what I'm going to do is before I cut this out with my Intri-cut, I'm just going to rough cut with scissors. Do this one too. All right, so those are my two sentiments we're going to use for 2 cards. And then I'm going to cut both of these on my Intri-cut. So then on the Intri-cut, we have the cutting mat. And yes, it's perfectly normal. This cutting mat is kind of self-healing, so it will warp a little bit. Yes, you can kind of do the hot water method. You can cut this on both sides, and you should rotate that so that you can cut it on both sides to kind of prevent some of that warping. You can use a little bit of the pixie tape to hold everything in place so that your dies don't shift on you. So I will be doing a little bit of that. Just line everything up where you want it. Okay, and then I like to put this on top and then run it through. And then for die cutting, your settings are going to be, the top one, it's just going to say die cut, and then on the bottom, you're just going to leave this in the middle. And then when you open this, you're going to lay these down, and then you're going to push these in, and then they will suction to the table when you push them in. So now they're locked in, they're not going to move, and I'm just going to roll this in, and it will die cut. No hard cranking, no weird scary noises. That's it. See how easily that just cut through? And yes, it's going to leave little lines. That's perfectly normal. And if you're worried about your mats getting cut up, Gina K does sell additional cutting mats. I did purchase for myself. The only thing that did not come with the machine that you can purchase is you can purchase additional cutting mats, the silicone mat. So if you want to do any kind of like embossing where you have additional designs, I haven't had to do that yet because it does cut and emboss very nicely, but I did purchase the additional silicone mat, and I bought myself a backup cutting mat just in case. All right, so that's one of them. And let's cut this other one. We're going to repeat the process. Just going to put that down. Whoops. Put some tape over it where I want it. Try not to put tape over your toner. And again, I'm going to explain the difference here in just a second on what is the difference between foil mates and polyglaze? And really, the difference is the printing process. So you see how this is black? Well, that black is toner printed, and toner is printed with a laser printer. And basically, it's microscopic plastic, okay? That's what toner is. It's not inkjet. Inkjet is ink, and ink absorbs into your paper. So because ink absorbs into your paper, it doesn't sit on top of the paper. And since it doesn't sit on the top of the paper, it doesn't allow the foil to stick to anything. But because this is basically microscopic plastic, this sits on top of the paper. And since this sits on top of the paper, when we add heat to this, which is what we're going to do with the fuse in the moment, the foil sticks to this. And that's going to be the difference. Where polyglaze is exactly that. It's a glaze. It's basically like a clear ink. And Gina's company adds a little bit of a gray colorant to this so you can see it. If you go back and look at the original polyglazes, they're really light. You can't see them. So they added a little bit of a gray colorant to them. You don't necessarily feel them, but it's a clear ink, okay? And so that's the difference between polyglaze and toner, okay? So toner is basically a black plastic, microscopic plastic that sits on top. And this is basically a clear ink where, again, the company that Gina uses is coloring it almost a gray. So you'll have some that are a lighter gray, almost you can't see it. It's translucent. Where now I've noticed her company adds this kind of gray colorant. So what the difference is, the benefit is when you foil over this, you're not going to see black underneath it when you get mist spots, okay? And because this is like a glaze or a gel, you can get finer areas to foil versus this, which is a much thicker porous material. You can't get as fine of detail, okay? The other difference is the type of paper. I noticed that this paper is a little bit thicker, so sometimes we need to go a little bit higher in heat. So I'm going to give you the heat settings in just a moment. We're going to start foiling. So we've done with our die cutting, and we're going to do some foiling now, all right? So we're going to put our Intri-cut machine away. Very handy little machine. We're going to put our dies away. We're going to move this guy. Okay, so in order to begin your foiling, again, if you have a Mink machine, it is going to be the same settings. So we're going to turn the machine on. So to turn the machine on, we have a button on the back here. We're going to turn that on first. Once you have the machine plugged in, we turn that on. We want to go to setting 4, okay? Setting 4. And again, if you have we have to plug the machine in first. All right. All right, we're going to go to setting 4. Now, if you have the smaller Mink, or what I call the mini Mink, which is the same 6.5 inch opening, same setting, setting 4. And you want to give this a moment. It'll only take a few seconds to go to setting 4 and turn green. If you have the larger 12 inch Mink, which I call the Mama Mink, then you may want to go to setting 5, okay? Anything lower than that may not give you enough heat because Gina uses a little bit thicker cardstock for hers, so you want a little bit heavier setting. So while that is warming up, we're going to cut our foil colors, okay? The other thing you might want to have handy is what I call a dusty brush or a dry Swiffer cloth. That is all you want to have. You want to remove any dust or debris. You do not want to use an anti-static dusting tool like you use for dry heat embossing. We don't want to add any elements. We want to remove. So we're just going to take a dry brush and remove any dust, pet hair, anything like that. So a dry Swiffer, I know, is what Gina K uses, or what I call a dusty brush, okay? And you want that dedicated just for foiling. Now we're going to grab a couple of colors of foil. I have some aside, and you want to use toner foil, okay? You do not want to use hot foil. There are different types of foils. So I recommend either Gina K fancy foils from Deco Foil, or any kind of toner foils, not glimmer foils, not Spellbinders foils, okay? Gina K fancy foils or Thermo Web or Deco foils. That's what you want to use, okay? So I have, let's see, we have a couple different colors here for background, and I usually save the smaller pieces. So cut these off for the sentiments. And then I have Twinkling Pink. Oh, again, have some extra pieces saved here. I don't know if these are enough for background, so we might need a full sheet here. Again, any toner foils you have, if you are familiar with my channel, you know there are quite a few companies that I have tested and I recommend, so you can check those out on my other foiling playlists. And you want your foil to be just slightly larger than your panel. It doesn't have to be super large, just slightly. You don't want it too big. And then this is the Fuse Starter Pack, which came with Wild Lilac and Amazing Amethyst. Although I don't know how well red and pink, or red and purple go together. I think I'm going to grab a different color. Maybe some silver. And you know, these foils also come in rolls, many different ways of getting foil. But you want to make sure it is toner foil, not hot foil. Okay, there's different foiling systems out there. This is the sparkling silver. We're going to use silver on our little parts here. Okay, so the other thing we want to do is we want to dusty the back of our foil. And you know it's the back because it's less shiny. It's a little bit more dull, okay? So we want to dusty our image, and we want to dusty the back of our foil, okay? Then you want to line up the back or the dull side of the foil on top of your image. Okay, now you should have gotten a carrier sheet. I know some people accidentally threw away their carrier sheets with the Fuse. You can order, and I highly recommend having a couple of extra carrier sheets. If you cannot find the carrier sheets for the Fuse machine, the carrier sheets for the Mink machine work as well. I always have a couple extra on hand. They will get a little you know, foiled on them. They will get a little bit wrinkly. It's okay. You want to have a couple of extra on hand. And you can also use a folded piece of copy paper or a folded piece of parchment paper as well, okay? So once you have that, I like to have the folded side, and you're going to put your image in, put your foil on there, always the dull side touching your toner image. See that? I have a piece of dust there. If you have that dust on there, your foil will not stick, okay? And you want to make sure that that toner is completely covered. If any of that is exposed, that's not going to get foiled. So we want to make sure that that is completely covered, because as we add heat to this, the foil is going to stick to that. Okay, so we have our Fuse system on 4. It has turned green. And as I feed this through, folded end first, I'm going to hold this and guide that in. You want to hold this and guide this in until it comes through the back. If you just let this go, there's a chance that your little carrier folder could get hung up in the machine in the corner, and then it will eat your folder. So you want to hold this and guide it in and have patience. When it comes out, do not reveal it right away. So now I feel that it is coming out the back of the machine. I can let that go, and I'm ready to feed my next one in. And you'll notice that when I put this in, I'm putting this in the folded end long ways, okay? Not horizontally, but vertically. So a lot of people have problems with their foil wrinkling or kind of bubbling up. Well, number one, the size of your foil should really match your design. We want everything straight and smooth. But if you put it in this way, your rollers have a bigger surface area to cover, and it could cause rolling of your foil. So you'll notice that I kind of have everything sandwiched up vertically, nice and neat and smooth when I put it in there. Okay, this does matter. If you just kind of scrunch it up and throw it in there, well, then your foil's going to get messed up. So we want everything nice and neat and smooth. It's kind of centered on the foil. I don't have too much foil. I don't have it scrunched up there. It's very nice and smooth before I put it in. It does not matter if I put it in this way or this way, but I want to make sure it's smooth going in, and I kind of guide it and hold it in place until I know it's coming out of the back of the machine. Now this one is done. Notice I'm not touching it. I know it's very exciting to open it and reveal that. I'm not going to do that. Okay, this is coming through. I'm going to remove these out of the carrier sheet. These are not laminating pouches. These are special heat-proof pouches, okay? Now this one, again, I want to make sure that it's kind of centered. Going to put it in the special mink carrier sheet. You do not use these mink carrier sheets in a laminator. If you are going to be doing this in a laminator, first of all, not all laminators get hot enough. Okay, you only use a folded piece of parchment paper in a laminator, or a folded piece of copy paper. All right, so again, I'm going to feed this through. And then just to add an extra pop of color once those are done, I have some Gina K cardstock. I have some passion pink. What else do we have here? Some red velvet. I think we can use those too. I think that'll be good. Okay, once that's through, we're going to let that cool down. I'm going to turn my machine off and move it off to the side. I'm also going to show you guys how to use the white poly-glaze sheets with your leftover pieces of foil, because nothing goes to waste when you are foiling. So we're going to move that to the side. We'll come back to using the leftover foil sheets in a moment. And if you're new to foiling, I encourage you also to join the Foiling Snobs Club on Facebook. That is my Facebook group where we encourage foiling, any kind of card making. But I do a lot of videos on foiling and will help you to learn how to use your fuse machine as well. All right, so now we can reveal. So to reveal, everything's cool. We're going to pull the foil off, and look at that. Everything is completely foiled. See how beautiful that is? Now I'm going to show you how to use this piece, because this is still perfectly usable, and we're going to use this with the poly-glaze sheet. So we're going to save that. Pretty. I got a little under in the corners there, but I'm not really worried about that. I can cut that down. But look at all that shine. Beautiful. Save that. And beautiful. All right, so we have our backgrounds and we have our sentiments, and this is going to be really simple and easy, guys. I have my 2 card bases ready to go. I'm just going to grab some cardstock to mat these off. Again, this one is red velvet, and this one is passion pink, all from Miss Gina K Designs, and I'll have the link down below for you guys. Love her cardstock because it's super heavy and beautiful colors, right? All right, so I'm going to cut these panels down a little bit. So I'm going to cut this down to, let's cut this down to 5 1/4 by 4. And then I'm going to cut this down to 5 by 3 3/4. And remember, you can also do ink blending on these. You can do stamping on these. Oh, you know what? I'm going to die cut that border while we have this out. 5 by 3 3/4 is over here. Oh, that is 5 by 3 3/4. Yeah, I almost cut that too short. Okay. Well, then it is what it is. Oh yeah, where's the little heart border? We're gonna intercut that. Okay, so we're going to leave that out. We're going to cut some of that out. We'll put that behind this. All right, so that card is almost done. All right, and then for the pink one, same. I'm going to cut this one down to 5. I want to cut this one down to 5 1/4 by 4 on this one. Maybe a little smaller. Yeah, I think when you cut the white border off, it automatically becomes 5 1/4 by 4. We'll see. Yeah. So Gina designs on these already have a white border. So if you leave it, it's A2 size, which is 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. If you cut the white border off, it becomes 5 1/4 by 4. So I'm going to cut this down a little bit too, to 5 by 3 3/4. Just a little bit. That one's fine. And then look at this pink. I love this pink. This is my favorite color. All right, so I'm also going to cut this one down to 5 1/4. Same thing, 5 1/4 by 4. Just to give it a little pop of that pink behind that. And then I think I want a little bit of that behind this. Pop up behind there. I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay. That one's a little more simple, but we want the foil to take over, right? Okay, let's get our Intri-cut out. I'll die cut this border real quick. save the little hearts. So we have a border and we have little hearts. Nope, didn't go all the way through on the end there. That's okay. So it's very easy to line back up. I should have put tape on it. That's okay. Very easy to fix that, and my fault. I should have known when you have a long die like that. I went speed bump instead of going long ways. That's a rookie mistake on my end. And what I mean by that is when you're die cutting, the rollers go this way. I should have gone long ways. Oops, sorry to bump the camera. Let me put a piece of tape on there. Piece of tape. So my die doesn't move. Okay, let's take 2 on that. All right, long ways, no speed bumps. There, well, look at that. Look at that difference when you cut it the right way. Boom. We've got hearts and we have a border die. Fell right out. Okay, perfect. So now it's just about assembling. Alright, so for the base, use my Gina K thermal web adhesive. Line that up. Line, ooh, you know what? I don't want to stick that down yet because I'm going to have excess here. Use my Gina K Connect glue. Oops, too much. Spread that around a little bit. Share the love. Perfect. All right, now we can put tape on here. And you can also put those sentiments on the inside as well. Where are my Gina K foam squares? Foam squares. somewhere I have foam squares. I think that would be better with those popped up. And then find those. And then we're going to add some of these guys on here. Okay, that one's that one. I need to find my foam squares because that's going to look better foam popped up. All right, on to card number 2. This one's a little bit simpler in design. But similar. Again, we just want the foil to take over, right? Everybody loves seeing the shiny foil. Rounded the corners there. And this one, I don't really need to pop up because that pink. A little more simple on that one. All right, just got to find my Gina K foam squares and we'll pop this one up. And there we have 2 cards foiled, very easy to do as part of the new January 2024 Gina K release for all of my foiling friends. Hopefully you guys go check it out. Again, I will have the links down below for you. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them down below. If you are interested in doing any shopping, I would appreciate it if you would use the links down below. They are affiliate links. And again, if you are interested in learning more about foiling, I have a lot of videos on hot foiling, which would be using the Spellbinders Glimmer Machine, the Gemini Foil Press, the Go Press and Foil, or toner foiling, which is using the Fuse Machine, the Mink Machine, or a laminator. I can help you with any of that. And if you are waiting for the Fuse Machine, join our group, the Foiling Snobs Club on Facebook. I will make sure to keep you guys updated and will help teach you to use that. But wonderful, wonderful release from Miss Gina K Designs, and I look forward to showing you guys some more videos with the products that I got. Thanks for watching, guys. If you had fun watching me make these 2 cards, don't forget to give me a thumbs up before you leave, and I would be honored if you would consider clicking that button and subscribing to my channel for more fun videos. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.